Today's podcast is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. And Sheath Underwear, if you've never tried it, is sexy. Like, it's just like if there was underwear for guys that was like good, like men lingerie or something like that, it's Sheath. It's comfortable. They've got that, the pocket where you drop your nuts into it. And then even the Zen pouch where you stick your shaft through the hole. It's functional. It feels good. It looks good. It's no joke. I pack for a trip for 10 days, I throw 10 pairs of Sheath in there. It's good shit. Check it out. Use promo code SPEED if you haven't tried it yet. It will save you money on your first order. And I assure you, everybody that's done this loves it. It's not like, it's just a pair of tighty whities. No, it's good shit. Check it out. Sheathunderwear.com. Promo code SPEED. What's up, everybody? Rob Ferretti here with Glen DiGiacomo Podcast 64 on YouTube, Shout Engine, and iTunes. Thank you for joining us for the Super Speeders Podcast. Glen now is re-employed in a new company, so he can afford to continue that car collection. If you haven't seen it yet, go check out Glen's car collection on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitch, and anything else that they...
I don't think I'm on Snapchat or Twitch, but...
These kids are
YouTube,
doing nowadays.
Facebook, Instagram.
Yeah. So, sorry for the lapse in podcast. I had a bunch of stuff coming up with adventure drives, and that has kept me incredibly busy for the past couple of weeks. However, adventure drives, huge success, tons of fun. If you check out my channel, you can see Jim's been catching up on old adventure drives. So we got those videos cut up and launched on YouTube. Those are a lot of fun. And the new adventure drives 8005, which we just did from Denver to Napa, will have a video cut and up probably within about a month. Now, those of you who've been paying attention to my channel, you'll see that Jim lost his drone while filming, and we put a video up on there. So if you want to be a treasure hunter and score that reward, which is a solid $1,000.
It's a good reward.
Yeah, $1,000, or I'll give you a $500 bill. Your choice. Either one, that's pretty cool. So if you want to go help Jim find his drone, hook him up. It's out in, like, if there was ever a better excuse.
Someone found it. Someone found it?
Someone fucking found it.
Oh, that's great. In Arizona, right? Was it?
Holy shit, where's the microphone?
Somebody found it. Jimbo's found it.
No.
Breaking news.
No way.
How do you see? Let me see. Show me a photo.
No, no, I don't have a photo. Let me read this.
So send proof of life.
I have a flying spaghetti monster. I can't send proof of life pic yet because I am still in the mountain with shit cell reception. It's pretty beat up and missing some parts. I'm still looking for them to show I am serious. There's a white sticker with a black 4-digit number on the front, 6271. He's right.
Is that
Wow.
yours? Yeah, power of the internet.
Dude,
All right.
do you know how long that
All right,
video was live?
Go pin
Wow,
that
that's
comment
today's
in
video, right?
hours.
Done.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
So we got the drone back. I mean, we gave him exact
Oh,
GPS
shit.
coordinates. So
yeah, but like, I mean,
and it's still sunny out right there.
sure,
Oh, that's
but I
right.
mean, that's not an easy feat.
Yeah, have him videotape and show so we can show the documentation as to where it was.
That's awesome.
Yo, please videotape that and send a picture or video as soon as you can. Thank you. Make sure to find the camera because that has the SD card in it. Thanks.
Maybe the internet can find my stolen M3.
Yeah,
if
are
they
you
found
done
Jimbo.
hijacking the
Lost an
podcast
M3?
now?
I got
that,
my
that was out of nowhere. You just totally hijacked
No,
the
like
podcast.
I mean, no, it's just
Yeah.
That video's been up for what, 3 hours?
not even.
So
like,
inside 3 hours in
Wow.
the middle of nowhere. So anyway,
okay.
the drone has been found. Somebody's getting paid, but very, very cool. The place where it was just south of Page, Arizona. And what was it called? Like Little Bluff or something like that? What was the town? Some little town, about a half hour south of Page, Arizona. And Page is awesome. Like it's a shithole in itself, but it's got Horseshoe Bend, it's got Lake Powell, it's got Lower and Upper Antelope Canyon. It was very, very worth the stop. The hotel that we stayed at, it's almost like staying on a lake hotel on the Grand Canyon with blue water versus brown water. So it was really nice, well worth checking out and stopping in if you guys have never been in that area before. That was our third day of adventure drives. First day, maybe second day. I'm sorry. It was our second and third day of adventure drives.
It was day 3. Horseshoe Bend, I think.
Horseshoe Bend was day 3, but coming into Page was day 2. And that's when we went from Telluride to Monument Valley to Page, Arizona. We saw wild donkeys. We saw horses running around on the streets. Open range sort of shit. It was a lot of fun. Like we had a great time. I mean, every time we do this, it's just such a big world. It's not like, oh, you must be tired of doing all these awesome bucket list trips by now. And the answer is no, I'm not. And you can tell the same enthusiasm from the people that come on the trips because they come on year in and year out.
Right.
Because there's always something new. There's always it's part of the group is great. So you get the group, you get the locations, you just get that atmosphere. It's just so electric. You feel when it's over, it's almost like you come back to reality. It's like the honeymoon is over. Just like a really it's hard to describe what it's like coming out of an event like this because everyone's got this like high on like fake life almost. It's
back
just,
to work, right?
Yeah, but it's just like back to reality. It's really it's tough to describe how surreal the entire experience is for the week, that everyone is in this common like mindset, and it's just a lot of fun. So
You got to go back to driving the speed limit, right? When you come
no, I mean I don't think anything like that, but it's just really it's fun. So if you haven't checked out Adventure Drives, there'll be more videos and photos coming up from the past trip, the previous trips. We've now upped the offerings on Adventure Drives to thrice a year. That's 3 times for you guys. Excuse me.
Now, how did the drone get lost in the first place? It just quit working and crashed
Yeah,
in the
something like that.
mountains or something?
I mean, short story because I mean it's in the video and it's not worth spending more time on it. It just went out of range. I hit return to home, which is a feature on those drones that just tells it to turn around.
But
and
if
send
return
home.
to home has a big rock in front of it, it's gonna beeline right to the
Yeah,
rock.
I mean
So
it's not one of the newer ones that has like the GPS avoidance and whatnot. It's before that. So
yeah, there's no sense. There's no bumper sensor, so to speak.
exactly.
So if there's a
No
tree in the
parking
way,
sensors.
it's gonna go right through the tree.
Damn right.
So
Yeah. So I mean, thankfully, I don't know where it is. Maybe it blew down and it was like in plain sight now.
yeah,
And
maybe
it's
there
just
was
a
a down. What is it? The downdraft? What are those called?
They have the dust storms.
No, yeah, but what do you call the big like things that take down airplanes? Not downdraft, not
I've never
updraft.
heard of that one.
It's
Air
yeah.
pockets?
No, you go. I'm gonna look that up.
Whatever it is, but I mean, for all we know, it was on the side of the road. But it is what it is. I'm glad someone found it, and now we're gonna get the. We had some really good Horseshoe Bend footage.
Cool.
So that's gonna be nice to get back. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to recover the footage I got from where I was because it was the SD card file. I think was a broken file because I think it just killed itself. But maybe I have some good recovery softwares. I might be able to get something out of it. But we'll see. I mean, it's one of those things where. It's just good to know that someone found it.
It's called a microburst. Microburst is a
microburst.
downdraft. It's like
All right.
It's like the sky just taking a giant shit. Like after you eat Taco Bell at 3 a.m. after drinking Natty Light all
Anytime,
night.
it doesn't have to be 3 a.m. Anytime you
and
eat Taco Bell.
anytime you eat Taco Bell, you go have that downdraft, and it's just like microburst into the toilet. That's probably what took down the drone.
Speaking of Adventure Drive stuff, though, we have 4. We're going to have 5. We still have 3, though. We can post 3 before 4.
we could throw 3 up there,
'Cause,
but
I mean,
4 was
4
good. I
references
like.
3.
Okay, yeah, I liked. We could sprinkle them, I guess.
I mean, we should just do 3, 4, and then if not, wait until we have 5
We could put
done.
3 up on the Adventure Drives channel, and then put up 4 and 5. I like 4. 4 was like a half hour, a solid piece.
Oh, you like it? Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
So we'll do that. But Adventure Drive's a lot of fun. We have one coming up in October now, October 24th to 28th, shorter drive, sort of an introductory offering, and that one is from Washington, D.C. It's a good old Nashville,
Oh, sweet.
country music heaven.
Now, I think you did a Nashville one once, right?
Early on, yeah, we
one
did New York to Nashville.
1 or 2 or something.
2, but that was like that was a failed enterprise. Let's put it that way. It wasn't that the route was bad. It was just that we tried to spring that off of 8001, which nobody really knew about to begin with, and we had like 5 or 6 people show up. So it was a much smaller event. Now we're pulling 25 cars every event.
Wow.
And like to us, sold out is 30. So it should be a good time. Now, even if it's 15, 20 cars, it's going to be it's like a Wednesday night check-in, dinner in D.C., and then we go over like the Greenbrier in West Virginia, make our way over to Tail of the Dragon, the back of the Dragon, go over, do some moonshining, do some bourbon tasting, and eventually end up over in Nashville.
We have a picture.
We have a photo? Okay, good.
Yeah,
we're
dude,
over
check
the
this
drone.
out.
Okay, let's
I
see
know,
it.
but like this is exciting.
Oh, wow,
to me,
look at
'cause
that.
This has saved me a lot of money.
Oh, yeah, there it is. It's Jimbo's drone right there. It's on top of the rock, too. He's
yeah,
up
I know.
there.
It frickin' landed itself.
How
Wait,
did he get up there?
I don't know.
Like,
he
would that guy
hikes-
like hike or take a helicopter? That's pretty cool. That guy gets like boss style points for hiking up on the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, and you got to realize, you see how it's landed? That's in its landing position.
Yeah,
so
no.
that means it landed itself and then got knocked over.
How did it get knocked over? Now, he may have just stood it up to take a photo.
No. The only way the drone, when it takes off, it literally comes up like the
No,
arms
but what
fold
I'm
up.
saying is like that guy may have set it up to take the photo.
You can't
Yeah.
fold it like that unless it has battery power. That means that it landed itself and the battery got knocked out at some
Oh, the
point.
battery fell out afterwards.
Yeah, so that means that it should be like 100%.
All right, that's enough drone talk for
I'm
this
just-
guy.
dude, like,
You're
do you know how much
super
money this is
excited.
saving?
I
Jimbo's
get it.
very excited.
I'm done.
So,
It looks like it's on top of the moon there.
yeah. So, yep. So we got Jimbo's drone coming back, and we're gonna not talk about Jimbo's drone ever again. You're welcome. My video.
Or not talk
has-
about Jimbo ever again.
My video has established.
Jimbo's giving me the finger for everybody who's driving their
he's,
car
he's
right
Jim
now.
now. But we've established that the reach of my YouTube channel is phenomenal. To be able to put up a video and to, A, get my watch back, and B, now get a drone back inside 3 hours of launching a video in the middle of like nowhere, Arizona, is very, very cool. So,
There's no limit to your power.
not my power. It's the collective power of everybody. It's individually we are weak. Together we are unstoppable.
There you go.
So thank you guys for being awesome, and thank you for everybody who every time we need something is always willing to help out and hook it up. I had somebody hook me up with trailers in Denver and everything like that. But long story, all good things. Let's move on. What are we gonna talk about? I got some videos coming up. I got a backlog of stuff. I've got my house update that I want to do. I got the Gotham update that I got to do. Just a ton of stuff to share with you guys, but like a lot of it is just waiting on signatures before. And when I get those signatures, I'm like, boom, here's your story. And trust me, they are borderline not believable. But in car news, this guy bought another car.
Yep, we both have bought and sold cars, so I think we should probably start
Well, I
there.
got the AMG GT.
Yes, and that's a great car. Now, did you get obviously you could have got the S model or the base GT, so you preferred the GT or got a good
There was
deal on
no
it?
I like the color, I like the
Okay.
look, and I think they're all the same.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a big difference in performance. I think it's like 0.2 seconds.
Yeah,
and,
but the color and the ground effects and the body kit that
Yeah.
comes from the factory, I liked it. So
now, where did you find that car?
that car was in through Bentley Gold Coast in Chicago, and I ended up getting it. He was like representing it for somebody, so I went directly through the guy who was in like Alabama or something like that.
So it was like consignment or something?
It was like a
Yeah.
consignment, yeah. And then secondly, I've got a Ferrari 360 that I picked up for adventure drives.
Yep.
And that's a fun story because adventure drives was YouTube heavy this year. We had Adam LZ, Rob Dom, myself, and then David Patterson. So we had a good quattrosome, a good foursome of dudes out there. And I love all those guys as much as that people think me and Rob hate each other.
Well, they're regulars, right? Patterson. And,
Patterson's definitely a
Rob
regular.
Dom,
No, Rob Dom, this is the second one. He did the
Okay.
first one and then the fifth
Because
one.
when he had the issue with your NSX, right? That was-
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, we're over that. Like, I let him drive the NSX again. David drove the NSX on the trip, but there was an extra thing at the end of the trip where they were doing a PCH drive. Not a PCH drive, but like a Redwoods up to the coast and
Sure.
everything like that. And I let Rob drive the NSX for the day for that, and he returned it in one piece,
You
which
didn't
is
park
great.
it in a parking lot.
Didn't park it and get hit. I mean, I haven't inspected it, but I trust he would tell me if something happened. But great time. David ended up driving my NSX. I shipped the NSX out with the intention of me driving it, and then I was like, sitting on the can or something, whatever you like. Well, let me just flip through eBay and see what's like within a blast radius of Denver. And then I saw like this 12,000-mile 360 Spider that was priced pretty well, and I was like, you know what? Let me kick it around. I was like, hon, would you tape me if I bought this car? And she's like, we shouldn't buy that right now. We're building a house. And I'm like, yeah, but would you hate me if I bought this car? And she sort of gave me a pass. So,
No answer means yes.
and, well, yeah, I mean, she trusts the financial decisions I make. And she gave me the thumbs up. And so I was like, all right. So gave the guy a deposit, said pending a PPI. And it was a 12,000-mile 04 360 Spider, red black, gorgeous car.
That was the last year, right? 04.
05 was the last year.
Okay.
It was a half year 05
Okay.
it's split between the 360 and the 430.
Right.
And there was some pretty crappy photographs of it on eBay and everything like that. But I'm like, you know what the hell? Let me give it a shot. It's like 30, 40 people watching it on eBay, but that's a stroke job anyway because everybody watches. Nobody actually steps up. I stepped up into the pocket, and I'm like, look, I did a little bit of quick Google research on it. Didn't turn up much, but I did turn up it went through Mannheim Riverside, and I saw what the guy paid for it. And I was like, all right, look, let's talk price. I'm interested in the car. I'd want to get a PPI on it. Can you tell me this? Can you send me more pictures? Like the quality of the stuff that was sent to me wasn't very good, like as far as like zooming in and being able to tell anything. But he sent me the window sticker. He said it was a clean car. It drives nice. I had him look up the tires, and the tires on it were like 15 years old. So they were the original tires.
Yeah, the date.
So I was like, well, I'm going to ship out a set of tires because here's how this is going to work. I got to get a PPI. It's now a week until I may need that car to drive across the country. And I don't want to like paint myself into a corner. So
Right.
like if I don't want to like force myself to have to buy it if it's not the right car. So
what tires did you get for it?
I don't remember.
Oh.
I hit up Michelin, but they never got back to me. So. But I don't think they have. They've got like some weird tires for it. They don't have like a good matching set of like PS4S or something like that. But the car itself, I was like, well, pending the PPI. So the earliest the PPI could be done is Thursday. My trip, I'm flying into Denver on Thursday night. So Friday morning, it would have been the deal. But if for some reason the dealership did not PPI it or something went wrong or blah, 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 any number of reasons, I would need to get that wire out on Friday before a certain time on the East Coast. Otherwise, the wire wouldn't hit in time, and I wouldn't be able to purchase the car, and I wouldn't be able to take it at that point in time.
And you had the tires purchased before the PPI?
I just shipped tires out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ship you some tires.
You could always ship them back.
Yeah, just throw them on my truck or something if I don't buy it, because I would buy another 360 at some point in time. But ultimately, the PPI at Ferrari of Denver checked out, and that was good. There was some little stuff wrong with it, but it was very clean, the car, as far as I was concerned.
No, it looked great. In your video, it looked mint. Well, it used to look mint.
It is very mint, yeah. Well, it used to look mint, but it was a lot of fun. The car acted up on me a little bit. I did a video on that. It popped out of gear after like 50 miles. But other than that...
now, what do you attribute that to? Just lack of use?
No idea. I just finicky. I thought it was maybe the sensor on the engine cover popped open or something like that, so it... I don't know, but in 2,000 miles of driving, it happened once and then never happened again. So I can't imagine there's anything incredibly wrong. When I was at Ferrari of Denver getting the PPI done, and all the timing worked out on that. It actually worked very, very well. I had the tires. They dropped the tires off in the temp tag at the dealership, and I was able to get the tires mounted at like Discount Tire or something like that.
Yeah, you did a video of that.
Yeah, and then
now, why don't you have the Ferrari deal? Did they just charge an arm and a leg to do
Ferrari
it?
dealer
Yeah.
would have been like 3 hours of labor at $190 an hour. It would have cost $600 to mount the tire. So that's why you go to Joe Schmeckles.
You trust them with your car though,
I
putting
don't
it on
give a
the
shit.
lift
What are
and
they
everything?
gonna do? Come on, like everybody's so like, it's just a freaking car.
Well,
like,
when I
these
used to
guys
have
change tires every day.
Yeah.
And you think there's like some magical guy who's working at Ferrari. It's the same dude,
It's the same dude.
in a different shirt working at Ferrari and then Discount Tire to make ends meet. So, like this illusion that going to a Ferrari dealership when I remember Lamborghini of Bergen County way back when.
Oh, when
well
Alpha
back
17,
when, yeah. But back over
Essex
by Home
Street.
Depot, yep. And they had like their main technician, Steven Arena, and he just had like one of the guys that used to work for me, Matty, was a sales guy there, and he's like, yeah, could you get a job for my brother? So his brother was like sweeping floors. And next thing you know, he's like, oh, can you help out in the shop? And he's like, yeah, just help Steve, like help take the exhaust off or do like whatever. And it was like 3 weeks later that like Steve quit and they took the dude who not more than a month ago,
and he was
doing
sweeping
timing
floors,
who've never done anything, and they made him their mechanic. And I'm like, well, shit. I mean, maybe it was 6 weeks, whatever it was. It was not a lot of time. And I'm like, to think about bringing your prize Countach over here, and they're like, yeah, we got our best guy on it, our A mechanic, and you got a guy who 6 weeks ago didn't know what a socket was. Is absolutely like
that's why I never.
So that's like nobody thinks about that, but that's very possible. When you go to a dealership, you don't know if that guy is on his first day of work and this is his first car and he's about to drop it off the lift.
Yep, that's why I never bring like the NSX to an Acura dealer. There was nobody there alive when that NSX was.
I guess.
produced.
I mean, I brought mine to the deal. It doesn't really matter. Everybody puts way too much like thought into servicing their cars and all this nonsense. Just go get your car fixed and get back on the road. So anyway, if you watched my video, you'll see that I jacked up the front bumper on the 360. Very clean car, but I jacked it up in the first like 3 days or 4 days.
That's why I'd always be afraid of taking a nice car.
Who gives a shit, man? Like, it's like there was another guy in the trip. I shot the tire tread through under my car. GT3 drove over it and shot it at the S63 AMG. Oh. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're like, you know, it sucks. Like, nobody wants to damage the car, but we're all walking away. Nobody got hurt.
Yep.
And, like,
it's just a car. Right?
A couple of bucks and we're back on the road, and it doesn't matter. Like, if it went through a windshield and impaled somebody, that's a completely different story. And
well, you did break a windshield last year, right? One of the other 360s.
No, that was I lent it to Elizabeth Hurley.
They broke
the windshield.
Yeah.
So the other thing I had was when I was at the Ferrari dealership, I was like, that's a nice 458. I just bought it. It was a 2012 458 coupe. Nice looking car. 12,000 miles. And like this was the one I sort of had to buy because I was like walking around. I'm like, that's a nice car. How much is that? And I'm like, and he came up with like decent numbers. I'm like, I'll probably buy this. Wow. And then they kept like messaging me while I was on the trip. I'm like, dude, I'm freaking driving right now. I don't have time to buy your car. But ultimately I ended up buying it. It was a good car. They put a factory warranty on it for a year, which I normally wouldn't take, but the guy lending me money wants me to have the car under warranty. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. So I spent an extra $4,500 for the Ferrari extended warranty.
That's not bad.
And I have but like I like that car to the point where I'll probably buy it.
You got it from a Ferrari dealer?
From a Ferrari dealer, Ferrari of Denver.
Oh wow!
So the 360 is a personal car. The 360 Spider. The 458 I bought for Gotham. So, but that was one of those things that was like, well, that's a really nice looking car. And it was
so
super
you didn't need
clean.
A warranty because you could fix it yourself.
Yeah, and they don't break. Like having a warranty
really?
on a 458 is.
You think
stupid.
I'd get a 458 with no warranty?
Yeah, I would definitely get a 458 without a warranty.
Really? Wow.
So 458s, LP 550s, 560s. I mean, the cars start to get really reliable. To commit to $5,000 for no reason, it may wash even. You may make $3. You may lose $3, but it's really not a requirement of a car that new. So
now you still have the F430 you sold.
Sold it. Sold the F430.
So you have how many Ferraris now? 3. The 488,
458, 458,
the 360,
and 360.
Yeah. What color is the 458?
But the 458 is technically a Gotham car. So the 360, 450, 488 are mine.
And what color is the 458?
458 red black. Oh, red black, red tan.
Red tan is the 488.
Correct.
Yep. Wow.
So I like the red black better than the but like that car drove so nice, my 360. Like I was like, wow, is this what it was supposed to feel like? I don't think I've ever driven such a nice driving 360 before. And when I bought it, it had 22% clutch wear.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, so that means it has 78% clutch wear remaining after 12,000 miles. Now it's got 14,000 miles on it, and I was on it a little bit. So we'll see what the clutch wear. I'll plug it in at Cosmos when it comes back and see how much clutch life is remaining, just to get an idea.
So you can figure out the clutch wear just by like a diagnostic.
Yeah, it's a diag tool.
You don't have to pull any
plug
engines.
it in. No, you just plug it in. So it'll be cool to see how much clutch life. I mean, if I can stretch the factory clutch to 30,000 miles, I think that would be really cool. I am going to modify the 360 slightly. I'm going to put that challenge grill on it and probably a tube exhaust and just call it a day at that. Maybe I'll swap the radio because I had no radio all week. But I had a fabulous co-pilot, and my friend Alyssa was in the car with me for most of the week, and we were just chatting it up and having a good time, and no radio required. So the only thing that beats a radio is good conversation. Good conversation in a Ferrari on some great roads. I was a happy guy.
What kind of radio does it come with? Like Alpine
Becker.
or something?
No, it's
okay.
just
Even
Becker.
worse.
Dude, Jesus Christ. And like the options on my car, the window sticker was, there was the gas guzzler tax for $4,500 was more than the options combined.
Really? So it was almost a no option car.
Almost a no option
Wow.
car, which you can get. And that's what they do. It's probably a very late 04. So it's like the best
Oh,
of...
yeah, because you always say that the early ones are loaded with options to get a car,
Correct,
right?
yeah.
And
But the later ones, I mean, the 430 was coming out. So now who's going to order a 430 when the
Right.
who's going to order a 360 when the 430s are already like at the auto shows, getting ready to go into production, coming in 6 or 8 months? Like, you're just not seeing a big influx of people scoring or ordering up 360s. So this was a perfect opportunity for somebody to do that, and it was still almost $200,000. I think it was $197,000 for the car, and literally like factory tires, factory clutch. Like, nobody really drove it.
Yeah.
And at 800 miles a year for 12 years, I bought the thing virtually new,
Right.
for $80,000. So that's $120,000 in depreciation spread out between a couple of owners, and I get a
That's like
brand new
$10,000 a
car,
mile.
yeah, I mean, like, I get like a brand new car.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy. It's like a very, very solid purchase. I've already had people offer to buy it off me, and I'm like, I'm not like that. Like, if I bought something, I bought it because I wanted it. I
Right.
didn't buy it to make money.
Yep.
One of the guys in the trip offered me 50% more than I paid for it. I'm
Wow.
like, I'm not going to do that.
Before or after the bumper?
It was after the bumper, but like he has a lot of money. But
Well, you got that car at a good price. So even though it's probably worth less with repainted bumper, you got it for such a good price.
It's probably
you're still in
worth, like, I could probably sell it for what I paid for it all
Oh,
day
no
long.
doubt.
Yeah.
I bet you it's
So
worth more.
I think it's a $90,000 car. I bought it from like a Tri-City Cycles, I think it was called, in Loveland, or Tri-City Cars. They're primarily a motorcycle place, but it's like Cosmo. They dabble. They go with their line of credit, and they go
Yeah,
scoop
they
up
can
5
make
or 6
money.
cars
They
at a
can
time.
make a couple bucks.
And that's the whole thing. Like, if the guy still made $4,000 off me by buying it and shipping it over and then selling it. So I'm okay with that, though. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a guy who's like, well, you're entitled to make $500. No, I
Right.
mean, I'm buying it at a fair price. You're selling it
Yeah.
at a fair price. You didn't misrepresent it. Everything seemed to go well, and just call it a day. So I should actually check that they factored in the deposit I gave him when it came down to the purchase. But anyway, that's bookkeeping. I'll take care of that later. I needed the car at that point in time. I was going to drive the NSX. I know you're going back to that. You're like, yo, Rob, so if you ship the NSX out there, who drove the NSX? Well, that's where David comes in, because 4 days, like, it was like Monday or Tuesday. I think Tuesday. I offered David, when I put the deposit down on the 360, I called David. I'm like, hey, I know you rented the Mustang, but if you want to potentially drive my NSX, I may be buying a Ferrari, and you can drive the NSX. Otherwise, I can have somebody else drive it. But he's like, well, you know what? I can't cancel my Mustang now. I got
He was already shipping it.
No, not his. He
Oh.
was renting one.
Oh,
So he was playing the game with the national car rental companies, and that, like, yeah, I got a guaranteed V8 Mustang with the Coyote engine.
usually
and
those 5.0s, though, they're automatics if you rent it.
still.
Yeah.
But, like, nobody would do a one-way rental for him. So then the cost, the drop charge to get the thing back to the location was absurd. But then he found a place in, like, I think it was St. Louis, that would do a one-way rental from St.
Yeah.
Louis to California with unlimited miles. And David goes out to do this, and he gets to St. Louis, and he's like, and as soon as he called, I'm like, you need the NSX, right? And this was like Tuesday or Wednesday. And he's like, oh, yeah, they didn't have the Mustang. I'm like, yeah, I know. They never have it. I'm like, that's why you should have, like, and that's why I said when my car was available, she just canceled. I'm like, look, just whatever you were going to pay for the Mustang, like, I'll eat the difference in the shipping, but you
Right.
just give
It's
me
probably
that.
just a deposit.
No, but I'll eat the difference in, like, I had to ship the car out
Oh.
there. So I was going to say, you can use my car for free. Just pay
Yeah.
for the shipping.
Yeah.
But I just needed him to figure out what it was. Anyway, long story short, He gets out there. They don't have the right car available. They've got like a V6 Camaro, and he's like, this isn't going to cut it.
Right.
So, but now he's stuck in St. Louis, and it was like $500 a ticket to get him from St. Louis to Denver. So he drove the shitbox Camaro for the day. I think he drove it from there to Denver airport. And then the NSX was sitting there waiting for him. And that was the start of that. So when he called me up on Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm like, well, shit, now this car better check out because A, I sent tires out there, and B, I got to buy this car now because I need something to drive.
Yep.
And if that wasn't going to check out, I would have to find something else to drive, or I'd be sort of shit out of luck.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's the story of the NSX. That's who drove what. And we had a fabulous trip, photos and videos to come, so keep an eye on that. Now we're going to take a quick break, a word from our sponsors, and Glenn is going to go make a pee-pee. So there's things you never want to do in the car world. You never want to not buy a car because you're afraid of the maintenance costs. And you also don't want to be fearful when you buy a car of driving it because you don't want to break it. Two of those things, it ruins the ownership experience. So how do you fix that? Well, there's a company called eAuto Warranty, and eAuto Warranty will sell you a warranty. You pay monthly just like you would for your car insurance, and it relieves the stress and anxiety of having a big maintenance repair. And that's something, I mean, they cover the smaller stuff too, but obviously that doesn't keep you up at night. The stuff that you're concerned about is a pilot bearing failure or something that everyone talks about as a possibility. And you're like, ooh, I don't want to have to pay for a transmission rebuild on that. Well, eAuto Warranty will cover it. So check it out. You can go to eAutoWarranty.com. You can enter your car in. You can get a free online quote, or you can enter a car you're interested in, or like, oh, you know, one of those Maseratis I've always liked. See what it would cost. It may make sense to you. It may not, but it will allow you, if you do go ahead with it, to sleep easy at night. I'm telling you, the proof is in the pudding here. I had a warranty that I was paying for 4 months, and they covered that means they made $300 off me, and they paid for a $2,400 repair. So it's good. It's nice to have. It's good to have in your back pocket if you ever need it. You don't have to renew it after the first year. You can just do it on a yearly basis. But I'm telling you, once you have it, you're going to love it. And especially when you get your money's worth out of that repair, you're going to be happy you made that choice. So check them out, eAutoWarranty.com. You can get a free quote for your vehicle or one that you're interested in purchasing. All right, and we're back. Thank you very much for Sheath for sponsoring the podcast. Glenn, I'm going to hand the reins over to you. I've been talking a lot, and my voice is starting to warm up. So,
well, we've been talking exotics and Ferraris, right, with your Ferrari purchases. So I actually went exotic car shopping. I did, yeah.
Nice. Give a guy a job.
I texted you.
Did you? I didn't
yeah, you responded. You just
did I? Okay, good.
So I checked out the Lamborghini Gallardo LP 550.
Yep, good car.
-2, so rear drive.
Yep.
And I liked it a lot, but I couldn't get past the E-gear transmission.
It's all right.
And it's all right. It's better than the original E-gear on the 04s. It's a lot better. So give props to them for that.
It's very usable. I mean, remember, I'm coming from a 360, which is which is almost like you have to drive it like a manual where you can't just
you got to lift,
shift.
to lift it, right? But the handling wasn't bad. The LP 550, I looked it up, and I like the rear drive. I love rear drive cars. And I looked up, they only made like 59 manuals in the LP 550. So this wasn't one of them.
Swap it.
So I drove it. I texted you if that was a good car, right? You said, yep, they're good cars. And it was. I was really impressed with it. But it didn't make me have to have it. I enjoyed driving it, but I did not make the purchase.
And the NSX made you have to have it? It's the color on the NSX.
No, the NSX, well, this is my second NSX. So the first NSX I had was a 95. That was the first year of the Targa. So it had the 3.0,
first year of the
5-speed.
Oh, so it didn't have the 3.2. It was 96?
Right. 95, which is the same as 96. 97, they went to the 3.2 and the 6-speed.
Okay, got it.
So it was a 3.0 and 5. I always bought something else instead of the NSX. So this is like 2012. I was going back and forth, Cayman S, an 08 Cayman S, or the 95 NSX, because I wanted a Targa. It was going to be like, at that time, I think I had 5 cars. So I wanted the convertible. So I just said Cayman S is probably more usable. It's newer. It's faster. I can fit my hockey gear in there because you got the 2 trunks. So I bought the Cayman S. Okay. Then it came down to I always wanted a Lotus. So I had the Cayman S. Then it came down to Lotus Exige S or NSX. And I figured the Lotus is rare. I found Laser Blue. They only made like 100 in Laser Blue. So I bought the Exige S. So I had those 2 cars. And then every time I was seeing an NSX, which is rare, you don't see one that often, I'd be like, holy shit, an NSX. So then I met this guy. I found the black one in Boston, and I found him on Prime, the NSX website. And I told the guy I'm interested. He's in Boston. He's like, you know what? I'll tell you what. He was an older retired guy. He's like, I never drive the car. What are you, 4 hours away? Why don't we each drive 2 hours and you can come test drive it? So honestly, I only did it to drive one because I never drove one before. And as soon as I drove it, I'm like, oh, I should have bought this car over those other cars. I just loved it. It wasn't it was just like the complete package, not like a fast car, but just like if an enthusiast was making a car, that's what they would make. It's mid-engine, rear drive, stick shift.
It's
visceral.
super slow though. And the brakes are not that great. Like
the brakes need to be upgraded. Like if you ever want to do a track event now with it, probably because it's collectible. But you would need brakes probably for the track. I mean, the brakes were good for 1991, and they never really changed.
I did a video with these guys that the Rag Company. They did a video Wash Wednesday. I put it on my Facebook if you want to check it out. They detailed my NSX, made it look real nice.
Sweet.
But,
we're going to do an NSX video, right?
Me and you will do an NSX video when it gets back. But the Wash Wednesday video, they did it, and I bash NSX owners just like because they're weenies. But like any like guy who says like I'm a blank owner, I'm like in the club, is traditionally a weenie. It's like the S2000 is the best car ever. No, it's not the best car ever. It's a decent car, but it's not the best car ever. It's not the end all.
S2000s.
Yeah, but like people when they get that car, they like lock themselves into the idea that it's the best car on the planet. It's cool that you like it, but it doesn't make it the best car on the planet. And if you own an NSX and you don't acknowledge that it's not really that fast and the brakes aren't really sufficient, then you're delusional.
Well, if you're looking for a fast car, NSX
not even fast car. It's like I describe the NSX like a cooler base 911, like a 996 cab. Like it's just like a cooler version of that because nobody drives a 996 and says like, "Wow, what a piece of shit."
Right?
They drive it and like, "Wow, this thing's like it does everything well together." It just it looks like every other 911. And it's worth $12,000.
It's a cooler Boxster, I would say.
No, the 911 is better than the Boxster. The Boxster sort of sucks.
I'm saying the NSX.
Yeah, but it's more like a direct, like a non-turbo Porsche, in that it does everything really, really nicely together, but it looks cooler. And that's
I would say for all my cars, if I only had one car left, I think it would be the NSX. Because I think I would miss that car the most if I didn't own it.
Well, it's because it's blue and it looks sexy as
fuck. But even my black one, like if I could, I had both for a while because I bought the blue one and then had to sell the black one.
Yep.
In a perfect world, I would have kept the blue one to keep the miles off it since it's the last year and just driven the shit out of the black one.
That's what I'm saying with my Ferrari. Like I bought it, it saw like 800 miles a year for the last like 14 years. Yeah. I did 2,000 miles in the first week.
Right.
Like it's what it is. It's why I buy cars. Now, like I buy them to drive them.
Let's talk about that. So what do you prefer, the Gallardo or the Ferrari 360? I guess the 360. Right?
I like the 360s better just because I like the noise they make a little bit better. Yeah. I'd get a 360 over like an 04 Gallardo.
Yeah. Now the 360 stick shift market isn't as crazy as the F430s.
Yeah, but I'd switch my car over to stick probably.
So you'd buy an F1 and then do a conversion?
I would buy. Well, I have an F1, and when the clutch goes, I'll seriously contemplate.
So if somebody would say someone like me who wanted an exotic car,
or I may just go and scoop up one with a blown clutch and like 60,000 miles, like a coupe, and then just swap that. I maybe get my the blue that I want.
Oh, the
TDF,
Tour de France.
Tour de France.
When I bought my first 911, the guy was selling it, which was a 996 C4S. The guy was selling it for Tour de France blue. And actually, I had a tenant once. This is like a long time ago. He was on the list to get a 360, and he got one. But he got his like 04 or 05. It may have been an 05. And he told me that, when the new model comes out, the F430, if you're on the list for the 360, that's what you get. They don't move you to the F430 list. So kind of like the F430 was coming out, and he was still waiting for his 360. Yeah. All right, so I bought, for Glen's car collection, I sold 2 cars and bought 2 cars.
All right, which did you sell?
All right, I sold the S2000.
The S2000.
So that was my second S2000. I had a red 06 with 13,000 original miles. I sold that to a collector.
How'd you do?
Good.
What'd you buy it for?
I don't know. Do I want to say that?
Yeah, what does it matter? Who cares? The guy bought it already.
I bought it for 24 and sold it for 28.
Oh, whatever.
I had it for.
You registered it, right?
Yeah.
So that money all goes to Uncle Sam.
Yeah. Well, the sales tax was $1,400, so I was into it like 25.
Yeah, 20. Yeah. So you made $3,000.
But I drove her for free for 18 months, which was fine.
That's good. Solid play. Good.
I wasn't really buying it to make money.
Good pickup. Yep.
On my channel, I try to buy cars for free, like buy them.
Yeah, I get it. Totally good.
Yeah. So I sold that.
That's 2000. What else did you sell?
And I sold the GLA 45.
Okay. Yep. I don't
So
really like that car.
you like that car?
I don't.
Okay. Well, that GLA 45, I love that car, but it wasn't a good work car because that was the only four-door car I owned since they're all two-seaters and stick shifts. So now I got to take clients out doing commercial real estate. So I bought my first grown-up car. So that's
Range
one of the
Rover.
hints. Well, this car has over 500 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. So you're pretty good. You've guessed when I bought the NSX. You've guessed. Elizabeth didn't do well when she had to guess my S2000, but you always kind of hit it. So I'm going to tell you. So that's the hint. So four-door, over 500 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. So this is the biggest car I own, but it's also believe it or not, the fastest car I own.
Is it a like SRT Jeep?
No. I had one of those, but no. It's a car.
It's a car.
Yep.
Okay.
It's a luxury car. Yes.
Audi Smart and S4.
S8.
S8. Okay.
So it's the car was brand new. It was I bought a 2013. I found it. I wanted a car that had a warranty on it, so I found a CPO car. Now BMW and Mercedes and Audis, they instead of doing 6 years, Jaguar still does 6 year, 100,000 miles. They only do 5 years, 100,000 miles. So you lose a year there. But this car was out of warranty because it's 2013. But if you buy it through an Audi dealer and it meets their spec, which was a clean car, no accidents, only 19,000 original miles. So I have a CPO for 1 year for 12 months unlimited miles, which is great because I'll put a lot of miles on it. So I wanted low mileage CPO car. So I really had to search the country because most S8s are electronic and have high mileage and have problems. So an Audi dealer doesn't really sell them used unless it's like a 2016 or something that's still under the factory warranty. So I found this in Miami, 19,000 original miles. And I wanted the Bang & Olufsen stereo because if I'm sitting in traffic,
you're the guy
I want
who wants
everything.
The shit that I don't care.
Well, in all my cars, I've never even turned on the radio, like the S2000.
Then why do you want the Bang & Olufsen?
This is a work car where I'm sitting on 17 in bumper to bumper traffic. So it's got to be a fast car. I want an all-wheel drive car. So at night when I take it to hockey, I wanted something that was like 3 seconds to 60. So I narrowed it down to like an M5 and S8. I drove the Panamera GTS. That was actually much slower. And the problem was I drove it in Englewood. Being in an urban area, the dual clutch wasn't very good.
Yeah,
I get it. The wide car was jerky,
yeah.
and the M5 was the same way. So the S8, because it has 520 horsepower, has a 8-speed ZF torque converter automatic, which usually is my least favorite. I usually like a stick shift, dual clutch, then an auto. But this car is actually really good for what I needed to do.
Sure.
And it's I wanted one with a Bang & Olufsen stereo, which was a $6,500 option. So I wanted the exact opposite of all my cars. I wanted something big, comfortable, great stereo. It's got the massage seats and everything like that. So it's awesome so far. So good. Yeah. So I saw the S2000, the GLA 45. That gave me. I got the S8 for under $50,000, which was amazing because Manhattan had one. They wanted 60 for the exact same car.
Sure.
I called them up. I said, I love your car, but I think you're priced about $10,000 too much. So they said, no, somebody will buy it. So the next day they lowered the price like $5,000.
Sure.
I saw it, but I still bought this one for cheaper. And I have another car that I ordered that's built. That's one of my kind of cars. So rear drive, stick shift, smaller car.
Sure.
So do you want to take a guess at what that is? It's a 2019. It's not released yet. If you think
so, you've built, but you haven't purchased.
Right. It was actually built July 17th.
Okay.
And I think the launch date for the car is going to be September 17th.
What's the price point?
My car with the options I took was $61,000.
Oh, shit, that's probably a BMW or something.
That's a good. Yep.
A BMW.
Yep. It's a stick.
Stick M4 GTS. No, that wouldn't be cheap.
It's a new car. It's 2019.
Is that what are they making? The M8?
No, I just saw an M850 actually camouflaged the other day.
Yeah. The I don't know what their new line is. 2 doors or 4 doors?
2 doors.
I mean, an M4 would be the only thing I could guess.
You're
or
close.
M2 or M4?
M2 competition.
Okay.
So I already have an M2 for 2016.
Sure.
There's a million videos of it on the YouTube channel. So I have the M2 for sale. I have a competition that I picked up my car May of 2016 at the fall of 2016. They said there'll be a hotter version at some point. So I put a deposit for that to get the first allocation. So my M2 competition was already built. But I believe, at least at the time that we're filming this, that BMW's launch date is like September 17th
Sure.
when they release all the cars.
My birthday's the 18th.
Oh, yeah? My birthday's the 1st. So I haven't decided if I'm here. Let me run this by you. So here's my scenario. So I've had the M2 when I bought in 2016. There was only like one option.
Yep.
Right? You pick your color, your transmission. The executive option gives you all the goodies. So that's what I have. Stick shift, Long Beach blue. It was 54 grand.
Yep.
Okay? Now the car, I only have like 12,000 miles on my car. So it's privately, it's worth about 45. I could probably trade it in for like 41, something
40,
like that.
yeah.
So the new car is going to be 61, and I can either sell it privately, but pay sales tax on the whole 61.
That's a math equation. So
Yeah, it's a math equation. So it's really
are you going to recover?
Or I trade it in for 41, and
I
net. Yeah. So either way, it's my car plus 20 grand.
Sure.
Whether I trade it in.
Yep.
So for emissions, they can't build the N55 engine anymore for the M2, which is 365 horsepower.
Sure.
So rather than BMW spend all that money to make it emissions compliant, the S55 engine from the M3 and M4 fits in it.
Okay.
So that M2 competition is going to have a new engine, not a new engine, but new to the M2.
New to the platform,
S55 motor, yeah. So it's going to be, and it's got to be detuned because there's a cooling issue. They can't give it 425 horsepower with the M4, so they detune it to like 405.
Okay.
So it's a 40 horsepower bump, but it weighs more. So
Okay.
it's only 0.1 second to 60 faster.
Which is a silly measure of
Which
performance.
is a silly measure of performance, and in the real world, it's probably the same. But is it worth selling my car plus 20 grand to get a car? I know it's got the bigger, more powerful M4 engine, but is it worth it for 0.1 second? That's what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, but the thing is, I remember buying the Camaro, and it was like 5.4 seconds 0 to 60 versus the
Right.
Corvette 4.2 or 4.4. And I'm like, it's a second.
Right.
Like, what is a second? And then, like, I
Who
remember
has that kind of time?
Yeah, but like I remember getting my ass smoked by a Corvette or a BMW M3, which was like similar to a Corvette at the time, and I was like, all right, well that's the difference. It's not just the 0 to 60; it's also anything beyond that. So
Yeah.
if the car is like walk away faster, I would do the swap. But then again, like the car doesn't really appeal to me. It's one of those things like I get it, but it's just not my style.
Well, I love the M2. I'm probably known for that car.
Yeah.
But the M2 competition is going to be sharper. But like if it was like a GT3 version, they're not going to make the regular M2 anymore. So any M2 you order from now on is the M2 competition. So it's not like a GT3 version of a 911 where I can say for the 20 grand, I'm getting the first GT3 and it's more hardcore. So they are upgrading the brakes. Like the M2 has like the NSX has good brakes on the street, but not so good on the track.
Sure.
So now this model, they're going to put beefier like M4 brakes and some suspension tweaks and make it a better track car.
Sure.
But is it worth it for 20 grand? Am I better for 20 grand? I can get another S2000, or I could buy an E46 M3 and keep my M2.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like you've got a weird collection of cars that doesn't appeal to me so much. I like limit it, and like my cars keep getting progressively more valuable, and I have fewer of them.
Well, I mean,
realize
my 1M, my 1 Series M Coupe, my S54, Z3M, the NSX, and the 993 Turbo, they go up in value every year. The M2 I bought like as an everyday car. It was my daily driver at one point. So if I buy the new M2 competition, that's a car they're going to build thousands of them, so it's going to depreciate. So is it worth upgrading for 20 grand, and then that car's going to depreciate? I mean,
it depends how much
20
you want.
grand?
I mean, that's like the whole thing. That it just the car doesn't appeal to me. It's just not.
Well, I'm not asking if the car appeals to you.
No, but you're asking
if
if I would spend the money like you. If there was a car that appealed to me that I liked, and I may lose a little bit of money on it. Shit, you only live once. Because you make some on some of the cars, you lose some on the others. You break even on the difference.
Well, I'm just wondering if that, as a car person, if that 20 grand is better spent on something different.
I mean, as a logical person, the 20 grand is better spent anywhere. I mean, hookers and blow.
Especially since I just started a new job.
Yeah, so...
and I just bought an S8 today.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could probably spend the money better elsewhere, but that's what we do. We waste money on cars.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, for that 20 grand, say I can get an E46 M3 and stick, and that car will probably... You'll have to put money into it, I'm sure. But that car would probably hold its value at 20 grand rather than buy a car that's $65,000 with sales tax that in 3 years is going to be a $45,000 car or a $40,000 car. You know what I mean? Or I could package a couple cars and get a 570. Maybe screw it. Don't take that car. Sell 3 cars.
Get a
and
Huracan
570S
Performante or something. Yeah,
or something like that. So that's kind of like what I'm struggling with.
Sure.
And then for 60 grand, well, what would you get? And it's good that we have
60 grand, 997 turbo. like one with
Okay.
a couple of miles
Yeah,
on
my
it.
friend just bought one
Yeah.
for like 65 or
Yeah,
something like that.
That's the car I'd go for.
Probably if I didn't buy the M2, I think if the M2 didn't exist, I think I'd have a Shelby GT350.
Okay. Yeah, it was a good car.
Yeah.
Adam LZ just drove it on the trip. Sounded great.
Yeah,
and
I've
it
driven them
moved
on the
pretty
track,
good
on
too.
the street. They're awesome. They're more track focused than the M2. Like
Yeah.
the M2 you can drive, it's a normal BMW in comfort mode.
The real question I think everyone's asking themselves is, will Glenn buy a Supra when it comes out in 7 years?
That's actually on my topic.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is Supra. Well, here's what all right, so I have to have a stick shift car. That's why I didn't buy the Gallardo. So right now they're not saying 100% no, but it looks like that the Supra, at least when it comes out, is not going to be a manual transmission. I'd be very interested in the Supra if it had a manual transmission.
Got it. Yeah, it's not going to be a manual transmission.
Yeah, I don't
and
think so
it's
either.
by the time it comes out, we're going to be on flying cars anyway, so who gives a flying
Well, the same thing. If an S2000 ever comes out, it's going to be 5 or 10
Yeah,
years. It's going
like-
to be an automatic hybrid. It's like
And if what is behind the camouflage is what the car is going to be, then I've got no interest in it anyway, because it
Well,
looks
that-
pretty
they-
lame with the camouflage on.
with the camouflage picture, though, that's what they had at the.
Yeah, I get
auto
it,
show.
but
Yeah.
it looks like shit. Like if you're like whatever's behind that, like you put camouflage in a Chevy Spark, it's still gonna look like a piece of shit when you take the camo off.
Yeah.
So I'm not too excited about the Supra anymore. I think like any excitement I had 7 years ago is now gone.
Yep.
I've had 2 kids, and
Well, that's what happened with the
Yeah.
NSX too. I mean, you can say
yeah,
the same
it
thing.
sits forever. But I mean, the
Yeah.
NSX also shouldn't have been called an NSX,
Right.
which I think the Supra may be in the same boat.
Yep. You know what? Another car I really like, if the M2 didn't exist, depreciated, not new, because it depreciates like a rock. The Jaguar F-Type.
F-Type, yeah, those are all right.
I've driven the 400 Sport, which is rear drive, 400 horsepower 6, and then the R, which is the 550 horsepower all-wheel drive on the street and the track, and they're great. I mean, that's
I
probably
can,
one of the
I can
best
get an
sounding
R
cars.
right now. I've got an R offered to me for like 94, down from 130
Oh, a
something.
new one. Wow.
New one.
Wow.
Delivery miles, like 7 miles.
Wow.
So if you want it, you can have it.
You could, I buy used. I got to buy it depreciated.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sort of if you're taking it for
Yeah.
40 under list.
Yeah, you could get a 16 R, which is when so in 15 the R's were rear drive, and the Jaguar switched to all-wheel drive just because it was just oversteering like crazy. It wasn't putting the power down. So the 5, you can get a 16, which is an R in all-wheel drive for like 65 with probably 20,000 miles on it.
Okay.
To me, that's a good. That's the same price as the M2 competition.
Sure, yeah, it's a good car.
Now, you can't get it in stick with the V8. You only can get a stick in the 6.
Yep.
And I did a search of there's like the S is the 380 horsepower one. I just test drove an S convertible yesterday. It
Sure.
was an auto, unfortunately, but that car sounded amazing too for a 6.
Okay.
And I did a search of the country. Say I'm making this up, but say there's 50 or 60 F types for sale. How many do you think I found that were stick shifts? Now you can't get in the V8.
2.
It's only the V6 one.
One, okay. So
So I think that would be a
Nice.
great car in stick. I would buy that car maybe instead if it was a V8.
I
stick.
like to like goose through eBay and be like search for Mercedes and then manual transmission, and you
Yeah.
always pull up like 20 of them. The like SLK 3,
Yeah, the SLK,
230
right.
compressors, and
Yep.
and like the C230s back in the day, the 4 doors. And I'm like, that's a good car for 3 or 4
Yeah.
grand. Just because who expects a manual
Right.
Mercedes in the U.S.? So that's a cool car. I think in Europe they're like, what do
They're
you
probably a lot
mean?
more
They're all
manuals.
manual. But in the U.S., that's sort of a rarity. What else do you have on your list? Otherwise,
What else do we got on the list?
I'm gonna keep talking adventure drives if you're.
Yeah, no problem. Well, the only other thing I was going to say, well, you could see on my channel today the S8 coming off the truck. We'll do some long-term videos on that. The M2 competition we talked about, I have my spec on there too. Well, let me ask you this, because I did a video about if I was going to get an exotic car, right? You should always have a goal, right? So new real estate job, new goal for a car. What is a good car? Like say something like me, who likes a car that'll hold its value.
Ford
Besides-
GT.
Well, that's out of my price range.
225, 250.
That's out of my price
Oh,
range.
okay.
Say 100 to 150, it'll hold its
458.
value. 458. You can get
Yep.
them that cheap?
150. You'll start seeing the 2010s.
Yeah. And you think that
I
car?
just paid 184 for a 2012 with 12,000 miles on it,
Okay. I looked at some
and that was a fucking nice car.
really. And I looked at some 458s because I was thinking of that too, actually. The 458s, if you want to get a certified pre-owned Ferrari warranty, I think that's the long 10-year warranty.
Yep.
For 2012, so they're like 230. So that's your money right there.
The 458. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Oh,
like,
that's gorgeous.
This is it's like a nice looking car. It's got the nice thin wheels on it.
wow.
Like it doesn't have that first year, the 2010 wheels. But
because it was a 2012, yeah.
yeah. But that car, I'll be all about. I'll probably stick that in my personal garage when we're done renting it.
Yeah, I test drove actually a 458. It was awesome. It was very nimble. Now, I'll say about your 488. Your 488 is a lot faster.
Yep,
Though the
I
sound
believe
is
that.
great on the 458. And I think they made the, they calmed the suspension down. Like your 488 has so much grip, where the 458 is a little edgy.
I can see that, I
Yeah,
guess.
the 458 is a little unpolished. It's great.
Sure.
Phenomenal. But sometime when you push it, when you get to the limits, like 8/10, 9/10, that car is a little nervous.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think if a newbie
it's still
was-
very controllable,
Yeah.
but
well, you and I have driven track
sure.
and done stuff. I think to the average person, power
man,
notwithstanding.
these things are fast. Yeah, I get
The
it.
you always see like the guy in the Corvette going 50 miles an hour in the slow lane, right? Because
And the
he's never
jean
had a fast
shorts
car
and white
before. He just-
sneakers. Yeah, I get it.
exactly. Or whatever. You could say
The
Porsche too,
jorts.
I'm sure. But I think the 488 Money No Object is probably the best car.
Sure.
But you never hear from me again. I had a 458. I'd be very happy.
Sure. No, there's a bunch of cool cars out there. Speaking of cool cars, if you have a cool car you want to go on adventure drives, we're doing an event in October from DC to Nashville. As I said, that's October 24th to 28th. It's a Wednesday night, returning Sunday. We're doing the Northern Lights up in Norway, Sweden, probably. I got to go scout that out. But that will be in February. So it's going to be cold up there, but it will be fun. And that's not like a Ferrari event. That's like we're probably going to rent Jeeps or something with like treads on it.
What cars came to this adventure drive? Because I saw some of the video. You had a McLaren, right? You had a 12C,
yeah, a couple
yellow
Astons,
one, right?
couple McLarens. I mean, I guess I'd have to pull open my
You
phone.
had the GT350,
The
right?
GT350
Adams.
was Adam's car. My NSX, my 360.
What did Rob Dahm drive?
Dom drove in the 12C, 458, two GT3s, GT3 RS, LP640, Porsche Cayman. Let's see what else we got here. DB11.
The new one?
Yep. Vanquish, 991 Turbo S modified, Audi R8 V10.
Oh, nice.
V10 Plus, I think.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying to think of what else I got here. I'm just trying to skim through photographs.
I was actually thinking of that, the R8 V10 Plus.
Yep.
Because the V10, the old R8 V10 is loosely based on the Gallardo, right?
Yep.
So the V10 Plus is loosely based on the Huracan.
Yep.
So what is your opinion of the R8s?
I like the R8s. It's a
Yeah.
good car.
The V10 Plus now is only a dual clutch transmission, so the manual is dropped.
Two M3s. And let me see what else we have. Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quadrifoglio. Corvette Z06. Two Corvette Z06s. Two Corvette Z06s and a Corvette Z51. Let's see what else. There's probably one or two more cars, but I'm like not pulling them up on my phone. But a good group of cars. Definitely a good group of people, good group of cars.
Sweet.
We're a little bit less about like what's everyone driving, what wrap is on their car. It's more like, yeah, who's here? Oh, cool. My buddies are here. And now we had some good looking colors, like the McLaren, the yellow McLaren,
yeah. It looked good in that
the
color.
green LP640, the red Ferrari, the blue R8, the blue NSX. I mean, you start mixing all these greens and blues and yellows and white 458.
Skittles.
It looked real nice. There were probably some pretty epic pictures out there. $1 Million Highway was cool. Like there was a lot of cool stuff we did this week. It was really a like even towards the end of it, Tony King was like, "Wow, like why this went by so quickly." Because usually it feels so much longer because you're like exhausting people.
Yeah.
But this one, like we got into Sedona at like 1 p.m. So we went to the pool. We're in the pool for 4 hours. And it's stuff like that where it's just like you're relaxing. You're not throwing your laundry in your suitcase and then bouncing out. You're literally moving at a much more reasonable pace. So, so we've got that. The Northern Lights trip is in February, as I said. That's going to be in Norway, Sweden, probably. And then lastly, we've got on the schedule the trip next year is going to be Germany, Switzerland, France, Italy, Luxembourg, Belgium. So it'll be a cool trip over there in Europe as well. We'll hit up the Nürburgring, Saint-Tropez, Monaco, Geneva, Lake Geneva, Col de Torini. There's going to be a bunch of cool stuff out there. So another epic trip to look forward to. And then we're going to wrap next year. I've got all these trips lined up. It's a lot of fun to plan all these. And then next year we're going to be doing a trip down through Florida. I want to get Daytona again so people can drive on the banking pretty quickly. And then, so we've got Daytona. I want to do like VIP host at Disney so we can whip through all the parks in 6 hours.
That's cool.
And then we'll end up in Miami, probably either starting Charleston or Atlanta, or New Orleans. So we'll make something happen. But a lot of good stuff in the schedule. Check it out. We're taking deposits right now for adventure drives if you want to sign up for any of the future trips. We got, I don't know, 5 or 6 people in the first couple of days for the fall trip. And if you want to join us, we look forward to having you. It's really like everybody that comes on sort of raves about it as far as like, wow, this was easy. You can go check out Adam LZ did the video series on it. David always does it. Rob will do it. I'll do some videos on it. And if you check out my channel, you'll see I'm going to put up the video from AD04, which was in Europe last year, which was an epic trip. And I can't wait to share it with all of you guys. Thank you for watching. Check out Glen's Car Collection. If you haven't checked out Glen's Car Collection, YouTube, Snapchat, Twitter, Bumble, Tinder, you name it. Glen's Car Collection has a content for you on that platform. And if you haven't checked out my YouTube channel, well, you'd probably not be
They
here.
wouldn't be watching this.
You wouldn't be watching this. So thank you guys very much. Glen, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for watching, and we will see you next week. Thank you, Sheath. Thank you, E-Auto. And you guys are all awesome. Thanks for checking us out. At least checking Glen out.